Hello there.
I'm going to talk about what's considered one of the most controversial aspects for some people about The Last Jedi. In fact, it's something that I've heard described as the moment that broke Star Wars, which I don't believe it to be the case, which was the use of hyperspace ramming against the First Order flagship, the Supremacy. Now, hyperspace does have some loose rules that have been set out in the canon version of Star Wars. The first one you hear about is in A New Hope when they're escaping from Tatooine, and Han Solo says, without precise calculations, you could fly through a star or bounce too close to a supernova. Now, Han Solo is obviously not a physicist. I mean, neither am I. And he just has basically an idea of how his hyperdrive works, a basic operator's idea of it, where he puts in where he wants, guessing where he puts in where he wants to go, where he's coming from, and he knows how to tweak it a little. And Star Wars physics, admittedly, can be a bit screwy, as even George Lucas will admit that he's kind of sacrificed scientific accuracy for the sake of story. So, from from the rules that have been set down, hyperspace is another dimension where physics will work differently to it in real space. The most important which of these is that ships with hyperdrive can exceed the speed of light, which ordinarily should be impossible, and they can retain their existing mass. And which also, these are not wormholes, so you still have to have travel some distance of time. It's not like a wormhole where it opens and you appear where you want to be instantly. So hyperdrives, they must have some kind of advanced gravitic sensors that would work as like a collision detection. That's why, for instance, when in A New Hope, when they exit hyperspace and they end up at Alderaan, the ship basically isn't destroyed, or it doesn't exit hyperspace in the middle of where an asteroid is. There would be something there that would, I'm guessing, it would sense the space of where it's going to exit from, and you would exit hyperspace just behind where an object is. So they're going to need precise calculations, so it doesn't um, not how not how the collision detection would actually, and the precise calculations would prevent the a ship, like for instance the Falcon, flying through a star or exiting too close. So that they wouldn't actually, so the ship wouldn't get destroyed by the intense heat and pressure of being too close to a star, or it wouldn't come out in the where the event horizon of a black hole and get pulled in. And some objects with large amounts of gravity, such as stars, moons, large asteroids, and planets, they can pull a ship out of hyperspace. Say they hold gravitic shadow at in hyperspace, and this is how interdictor ships can work. They can simulate the large gravity involved with a planet, taking advantage of the protective nature of how hyperdrives work. This is why when the Falcon ended up at Starkiller Base and it came out of hyperspace really close, he would never have actually hit the surface of the planet at hyperspace. It would have been pulled out just before, and the speed where it was flying towards the surface of the planet would probably be in the planet's gravity pulling it in, and some momentum from the ship. This very collision detection system is probably why, in the past, this use of hyperspace has not been weaponized, which is one of the major criticisms of this particular plot point, and the reason why they thought it broke Star Wars. Because why had it never been used before, and could this be used again in the future? Because one of things that people said was, why didn't somebody just like fly a starfighter through the Death Star instead of having to launch a very risky attack? Well, the reason part of this is you could have had a starfighter-sized drone up against even something as small as small as a super star destroyer, but for that you would have had to have hit the bridge, like how that A-wing pilot in Return of the Jedi kamikazed into the bridge of the Executor, which caused it to lose its, I'm guessing, lose its control, and that's why it got the gravity of the Death Star Death Star 2 was able to pull it into it. But these kind of things are tricky to aim for, and it would be easier just to shoot it through the actual body of the ship itself. But size matters with these kind of things. It would be like kind of if you just shot through a trailer of a truck with a handgun. The most you would do is you produce a hole in it. You wouldn't actually destroy the thing. And even with a craft the size of the Radus, all it did against Supremacy was cut it in half. It didn't actually destroy it. And explode it totally. I mean, the ship was obviously useless after that point. But the only real size vehicle ships that could have any kind of effect at all would be capital size ships, and that kind of thing is just too expensive. It would be too expensive even for the Empire at their height to have done something like that, let alone a poorly funded resistance force that don't at this point even only have one real ship, which is a Millennium Falcon. So I don't think this is going to be a real concern. There's also the fact of these collision detections. They might be hardwired in, so they're very difficult or near impossible to disable. And the only reason why the Radis was actually able to do that was maybe the collision detection within it was damaged, and Vice Admiral Holdo took advantage of that fact. So I'd like to hear if you think I'm off base with this at all, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, and what this do you think this will have some kind of future effect on Star Wars, and or maybe even if in the dim past, when in hyperspace, when things weren't quite so standardized, maybe this was used in the past, and maybe part of the reason why these protections were put in place. So yes, and I shall see you again next episode.